I think the world is very, very different now because I was involved with two biggest films of all time, Avatar and Titanic. People love the movies, and there's no replacing that. The issue is both of those were original movies. Right. Star Wars is a pure brand,
well, you're leading
and
me to the
Disney's
next
strategy
question.
is a purely branded strategy. The question that keeps me up at night is there room in the modern business for originality?
Do you think in the age of high-definition television that theatrical movies will tend to be more spectacular, or?
I think the larger, more spectacular ones will end up in the theaters, and the more personal ones will end up on the screen.
The Lincolns are going to go away, and they're going to be on television.
Well, and mine almost was.
You're not, well, but I mean...
This close.
But that's,
Ask HBO, this close.
But there's no difference between movies and television. There's no difference at all. Except in a lot of cases, television is much better than movie. You can take some of the best cable shows, and you can take some of the best movies, and you can put them on the screen together, and nobody can tell the difference. You know, television competes with movies.
That's true.
1-to-1. You can't, I mean, like now, I'm going into, making my own personal films, but I know I can't release them. This is why. Well, because if I make a movie for $1 million, it's still going to cost me $10 or $15 million to market it. Yeah. I'm not going to spend 15. I know I'm going to lose money at it because nobody's going to want to see the movie anyway. So why would I spend another $15 million on something?
We got you covered.
When I first started making movies, it was really cool. My movie stayed in theaters for 1 year. If it was a hit, it was a year long. Raiders was in theaters for a year. E.T. was in theaters for a year and 4 months. And I can't believe that I can actually remember those days. That was an amazing situation back then.
One of our studios embraces a film that represents a tentpole kind of picture. Right. When it works, it really works, and the success is heralded around our business and in every medium and all that. And when they don't work, they get a lot of publicity. Right. So that we had a picture called McFarland USA that was not really a moneymaker. We're very proud of it. We love the film and all that, but it just came under the radar. No one really paid any attention to it. But when Tomorrowland didn't work, that was huge news. And yet we have embraced this philosophy because a version of that galvanizing experience would be that I believe a prospective audience member asks himself or herself, do I have to see it now, and do I have to see it in the big screen? And if the answer to both of those is no, we have a problem.
The proximity between, greatness and catastrophe is very close together. And what we're charged to do is to create an experience for the fans that is unique and exciting, even if it's within the framework of a branded Marvel film.
And I think one of the things we have taught ourselves is that, we don't have the plethora of IP as we've talked about with Universal for many, many years. A franchise to us, it doesn't necessarily need to look like a Marvel movie. It can look like Pitch Perfect. It can look like 50 Shades of Grey, movies that are made for a modest amount of money with a high profitability.
Hey, Jay, speaking of movies, do you know what month it is?
Fuck you, it's January!
Let's start with another Taken film, Taken 3, Taken Again, starring Leslie Nielsen.
That's right, Mike. When one simple idea provides some moderate success at the box office, let's make it as many times as we can. Or at least until Liam Neeson stops loving money.
What other sequels can we look forward to, Jay?
Insidious Chapter 3. Why are they chapters?
Mission Impossible 5?
Alvin and the Chipmunks 4.
Jurassic World. Fast and the Furious 7. The Hunger Games Part 4. Mockingjay Part 2 of 2.5. Jay, do you mean to tell me that there are no remakes this whole year?
Well, at least we can always count on new and exciting superhero movies from Marvel. They have their films planned out for the next 37 years, and I'm sure they'll never, ever get stale.
Movies like?
With Ant-Man and a couple of the recent Avengers coming in a little bit less than maybe everybody expects so much from Marvel. Do you worry about fatigue on comic books?
I think that the discussion, the issue of superhero fatigue or event movie fatigue is a valid discussion. We are very happy with, again, we did.
We'll take care of fatigue. Don't fall over this, it goes down really far. That's right, Jay, but after taking a look at the films slated to be released in 2015, we're gonna have to change our saying to, fuck you, it's year.
There's going to eventually be an implosion or a big meltdown. There's going to be an implosion where 3 or 4 or maybe even a half a dozen of these mega budgeted movies are going to go crashing into the ground, and that's going to change the paradigm again.
What you're going to end up with is fewer theaters, bigger theaters, with a lot of nice things. Going to the movies is going to cost you $50, maybe 100, maybe 150.
Like Broadway costs today.
Yeah, it's like Broadway or going to a football game. It's going to be an expensive thing. The movies are going to be these big ticket items because people will still take their chances, and they will sit in the theaters for a year, just like a Broadway show does, and that's going to be what we call the movie business.
If people begin to have high-definition television in their homes so that they can look at a television picture or a home video, what, if anything, are you going to do to encourage them to feel that they still have to go out of their home to see your movies in first run?
No matter how you get around it, the theater presentation is a group experience. And there is something very magical about a group experience that you cannot duplicate in the home unless you invite, 500 of your closest friends in.
Spielberg provides a case in point by describing the first time he showed E.T. to his son. How did you show him the film? This might be interesting for people at home. They would think normally you'd just slip in a cassette. I have a feeling you showed it to him in a screening room.
In perfect projection with perfect sound, 1:6:6 aspect ratio, of course, yeah. I wouldn't let them see it on video.
Because?
Well, because there's an experience about sitting in a room, albeit maybe alone, years after the film had its theatrical, run, but seeing a large image, direct, light through the celluloid, projecting like a slideshow in movement against a screen with good sound and the smell of popcorn. It's exciting. It's theatrical. It's showmanship. I mean, movies are showmanship. When movies go on to videotape, I love the idea that people still see our films in all different forms, but the showmanship is missing once you look at a movie at home.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
Even in an intimate film, it's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same. It'll never be the same.